Everyone. Welcome. Here we are. It's May. I don't think we have any new attendees, anybody who hasn't attended before. So our big news is that we completed the Wacko competition. It went very well, and Menomonee Falls had a wonderful showing of images and many winners, including Roger Grill, who won Best in Show. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, Ken? Just a little bit about. You're muted, Ken.
All right, somebody's phone is going on there.
Yeah.
All right. So Jesse Buchholz won one medal for first place and had 10 HMs. Roger Krill got Best of Show and had 4 HMs. Ian Dickman had 7 HMs. Priscilla Farrell had 2 HMs. Jane, you had 3 medals. You had a first, a second, and a third, and 7 HMs. Carl had an HM. Hokinson. Jeff Klug had 7 HMs. Pat Lynch, you had 1 second place medal and 5 HMs. Paul Mordo, you had 2 HMs. And I had 8 HMs. So we did very well. We had a total of 60 awards out of the somewhere around 170 for our club. The other news is that we participated in the Wisconsin PSA Club Showcase earlier last year. This is where we chose the 7 photos and entered them in the showcase. And out of 13 clubs, Menomonee Falls came in first place. And Roger Krill's photo, Pelican Gulp, came in second place. Yeah, so those are the 7 photos we submitted. So anyways, we had very good month here for competition results.
And then this was the second place club. It was Beaver Creek Club. I'm not sure where they're from. They came in second. The third place club was Fox Valley up in Appleton. And I think that's all I had. Yeah. Oh, and these are the top 5 individual images.
Well, I
yeah.
want to thank everybody for working so hard to put that Wacko competition together. Ken and Jeff do the lion's share of the work, but we had 3 nice judges. I don't know how many of you took the time to watch it on Zoom, but that worked out very well. And let's keep going. The rules for next year are going to change, or for our next competition in November, unless we don't get them finalized. But we will let everybody know what the new guidelines and descriptions are for the divisions. On the news front still, PSA has a outing coming up here in May from May 14th to May 16th in the Duluth Superior region. So if you're a member of PSA or you want a quick join, that outing is coming up. You could talk with Ken or Jeff to get the particulars, or go to the PSA website and look that up. Now, Menomonee Falls has some upcoming outings too, so I hope you read the newsletter. But I'll go through a few other. First, I guess I'll tell you what tonight's lineup is. We'll do the President's Challenge. We'll do Show and Tell with Pat Lynch and Mark VanCleave. We'll do Tips and Hints with Brian Lauttamus, who will tell us about those upcoming field trips that we're planning. And then our program will be Waterfalls up north with Jeff Klug and Ken Warning. But we do have a few business things. We need to pick a President's Challenge topic for June. So please unmute yourselves and make some suggestions. Okay, I saw no unmuting going
Birds.
on.
How about birds? Yard birds.
Yard birds.
Well, we're gonna be doing the flower shoot at Shady Lane. Could consider flowers.
Yeah, flowers was this month.
Oh, okay.
The Yardbirds were a great band. No one knows who they were.
Do we have other suggestions?
I'll second Yardbirds.
Okay.
Spring wildlife babies.
I think I can find my old Yardbirds album somewhere.
Well, let's go with backyard birds, backyard nature babies, something that says spring. Is that agreeable? Okay, we voted. Now we need volunteers for June show and tell. We need 2. How about you, Clinton?
Yeah, I suppose. Yes.
Oh, okay. How about you, Laura? You have to unmute. There you go.
I could try it.
There we go. That's all you need to do is try it. We'll help you through it. You know, we help everybody, me included.
Yeah.
Then a reminder that for July, our club slideshow is due. I'd like those selections that you're going to send to me by June 15th at the latest. Our subject is around your neighborhood. So, you know, it's broad-based. I really don't reject anything, but try and pick some things that you've done over this year that depict the area that you live in. You can send up to 8 images. You can size them 2100 by 2100, and you can email them to me. Please mark your email with, you know, Menomonee Falls Camera Club slideshow or something so that I see it. I know a lot of people tend to send me things late at night, and then, you know, I have to like filter to find them. So make sure you mark them, and hopefully I don't lose them.
Jane,
Yes,
how many?
8 is maximum.
No, I mean, how many can we submit?
8,
8? Okay,
8 is maximum.
thank you.
Yeah, and just, you know, if you don't want to submit 8, you don't have 8, that's okay. But if you submit more, then I have to make a decision. And I don't want to make any decisions. So just send 8. So the first thing tonight is for me to share my screen and show the President's Challenge for this month, which was flowers. Unless anybody has anything else they want to add at this point.
Actually, there is one thing that I'm almost forgetting, is we are looking for volunteers for vice president for next year.
Oh,
Joe Higdon, starting in September, will be our incoming president, but we need to find a vice president. So we are looking for a volunteer that would be interested in being vice president and later on moving up to be president, because we vote for that in July, and that only gives us May and June to find a VP. So anybody willing to volunteer, please send me your name. And otherwise, you may be getting a phone call late at night on a Sunday night, looking for you to volunteer. So to follow the way Bill did it, he usually called around 9 o'clock. Oh, I shouldn't have said that though.
Yeah, don't answer your phone at 9.
Yeah. But please, this group runs on volunteers, and so we're certainly looking for a volunteer for VP and then president. We try to make it pretty easy for you, so. Okay, Jane, that's all I had. Just thought of it now, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up because I wasn't thinking about it at all.
No.
Okay, I'll try and share my screen. Okay, we got the first one up here.
Yep.
Okay, some tulips here from Bernard. And a daffodil, if you're watching and you want to chime in, please do. I think the tulips and the daffodils were quite nice this year. There's a nice spray of them. Now we're on to Chris. I don't know if Chris is here tonight. Did I see Chris?
I'm here. I
What kind of flower is that?
think it's some sort of carnation that I picked up at Pick and Save.
Very pretty, nice dramatic red. Nice background under that, around that daffodil. Little creative work there before they go in the vase. Don sent some photos that looks like a dandelion. And this is that Siberian wildflower. Ken sent some daffodils. Laura? Laura, is that a tulip?
No, that's actually a cactus from when I was in Arizona
Oh, that's right. Yes.
last month, 2 weeks ago.
So they'll all open. All those are little buds, huh? That are coming. Coneflower, I think. Maybe. Here's Patty Grinley. Nice tulip. One of my favorites where they have that little like flame in them at the bottom. Patty, what's this flower? Do you know? She's sleeping. And then our memorable snow.
Okay, I found the mute button. That was a hepatica. It's a little wildflower. It's only like about 3 inches tall.
It's very pretty. Like those little hairs.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it. And that's a wood betony. It's also a wildflower.
These are from Roger. It's pretty interesting there. And that is it for the President's Challenge. So even though we didn't have a lot of flowers in our neighborhoods, people got some, people sent some, and I appreciate it. On to show and tell. So Pat and Mark, who wants to go first?
That's all right, I can do it.
Okay.
Okay, I gotta share it, don't I?
You do.
One second here. There we go. Okay, can you see the screen?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's not showing up, Pat, yet.
All right, let me try it again. And share. Oh, I gotta allow Zoom.
Yeah, have you shared screen before?
No, not on this one here.
Okay, is it
I
a
got it.
app?
Yeah. Oh, I may have to quit and reopen the Zoom.
No, it's an Apple computer.
Yes.
Okay, you need to go to Preferences, Security.
Yeah, I already did that. And then when I went to close it, it says quit and reopen.
Oh, yeah, don't worry about that.
Okay.
Now you should be able to share. Yep.
There you
You
go.
see it now? Okay. All right. So a while ago, a friend of mine who does pencil drawing had asked me if I had any owl shots. So I said, yeah, I did. So I sent her a mess of pictures to do. And she picked one of them and did a real nice job of recreating it in pencil. Anyway, I decided to show you guys my owl shots then that I've done with the birds of prey stuff. This one here is one that we did several years ago, actually out of Jeff's place. And this is one of the owls with a missing eye. So I did a little Photoshop magic on it and recreated another eye for him. There's the same guy again with both eyes now. It's kind of funny because if I show both pictures, one without and one with on, it looks like he's winking when it goes back and forth. Another one of the owls. I like the yellow eyes in this one. The great horned one. This little guy was out at Schlitz Audubon. We've seen him a couple of times. I don't think he's with us anymore, though, from what I heard. I believe this is out at Schlitz Audubon also. Another one from Schlitz Audubon. This guy is too. little bit further back shot. And of course, the snow owls, which are always fun to do.
That one's not with us anymore either.
Oh, really? Another great horn. This one here, I believe I did this one in black and white and entered it in one of the competitions. Another one of them. I wonder if they have any snow owls there at all now.
I don't think so. They usually bring it in from Boo's Woods. She brings hers in.
Okay. This was in a low branch in a tree, almost by the house that's there. And I believe that's it.
Oh, they're very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, very nice memories we have of those photo shoots.
Yes.
And we have one coming up. Is that this September? Is that?
Yes, it's September 11th. We're going to be back at Slits Audubon for the Wacko program.
So that'll be nice.
This Saturday is their raptor shoot for their calendar.
Yes, they're having their own program this Saturday. Correct.
And I assume the Wacko one, we'll find out more information about registration at a later date.
Yes.
Yep, right now it looks like it's going to be $75 a person. And that's about all we know right now.
Did you mention a date? I might have missed that.
September 11th.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, next up, Mark VanCleave. There he is. You ready, Mark? Oh, I can't hear you. Still can't hear you.
Yeah, you're not muted. It's probably a computer mute. Make sure your computer's on the right microphone.
You can hear like some like weird feedback in the background. I'm thinking that's him.
Kind of like a chipmunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, I think, yeah.
Welcome to Zoom.
Yeah.
Let's see. Maybe he can restart and come back and it will do it. Yeah, it seems like Zoom problems. I can't get YouTube to work, and last night Ken had a coming and going internet, so.
We've only been doing this for a year.
Yeah.
I say that jokingly because it seems like just about every meeting that I still have on Teams and Zoom and.
Oh, now I think we got you.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yep, now we can
Yes.
hear you, Mark.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
We do Zoom meetings with our kids, and for some reason, the first time I sign on, we always sound like chipmunks, and I have to close it and start it again, and that works every time. So
Ah.
now let me try sharing my screen.
Okay.
Share.
Looks
All right, are you
good.
seeing my screen?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. As most of you know, we moved to Florida last September, and so I've been changing my approach to photography. Mostly I do landscapes and wildlife, and I like going to the state parks up in Wisconsin, and we've done a lot of those. And now I'm finding that it's a very different type of a situation. down here. So this is one of the state parks. And this is another one. And you can also go on a little boat ride in one of them. And you look down through the glass and you see the sinkhole underneath. Or you get a beach. Or you get a beach. In other words, there's just not a lot of variety in the state parks in Florida. I'm used to going to, to Devil's Lake or Peninsula or the waterfalls up north, and there's always a lot of different landscape opportunities. In Florida, not so much. So I've started doing a little bit more with wildlife. There's lots and lots and lots of water birds. So this is a great white egret. We have lots of blue herons, and I've taken several different shots of blue herons, and I'm getting a little bit better at shooting them. This is one of my early ones shortly after we moved down here. This is another one, a little bit better. I managed to get up nice and close to this guy and got his funky haircut. These are ibises. They're just absolutely all over the place. Here's another great white egret with a really nice reflection behind him. These are called marsh chickens or marsh hens. The technical name is Galanudi or something like that. I don't know exactly how to say it. They're very, very common. There's a variant of them that is the purple Galanudi that's much more rare, harder to find, but very, very colorful when you do get to see them. We had a lot of pelicans around. This is a green heron. I'm not sure exactly what this is. I think it's an immature blue heron.
No, it's a limpkin.
A limpkin. All right. Well, there you go. I learned something already tonight. This is another duck. And again, as I looked in our bird book, it did not show a picture of a duck like this. So my wife and I just call it the odd duck. When you go to the beach, there's lots and lots of these little guys running around on the shore. And then here's another of the great blue herons. This is probably the one that I like the best of the ones that I've taken so far. We have a lot of ospreys. This is one up in its nest. We have a lot of sandhill cranes. We've actually had 4 sandhill cranes walking around in our backyard several times. This is not one in the backyard, but we do have a lot of sandhill cranes. This is an anhinga. They're also called snake birds because they swim around in the water and all you see is just their head sticking up. It sort of looks like a snake going through the water. And after they've caught a fish or whatever, they have to get out of the water and stretch out their wings to dry because they don't have the oil on their feathers. And so they can't fly very much until they get their wings to dry. And then there's a cormorant, very similar, but different coloration, but the same deal. He's got to get his wings out to dry. This is one of the anhingas that caught a fish, and he brought it on the shore and was trying to get it down. I took pictures of him for probably 10 or 15 minutes. He never did get that down. I think the fish was just too big for his throat. Back to the ospreys. Here's an osprey feeding on a bullhead that he had caught and took it up into the tree. And then I managed to find a blue heron with a similar fish. His neck is a little bit bigger around, so he did manage to get that one down. Not everything is birds down here. We have a screened-in lanai in our back, and we have these little geckos that just crawl all over. They're about 5 or 6 inches long, just all over the place, and some of them are green. And then we have turtles. These were all lined up. And then, of course, we do have some alligators. Another one in the water. And another one out in the water. And then in this area right behind him, I've started practicing on some birds in flight pictures. This is a technique that I'd never really done that much of. So these were a couple of egrets that took off basically right behind where the other alligator was. The pelicans move nice and slow, so that for those of us who are practicing on birds in flight, they're a little bit easier to catch. This was one that was diving into the water at the sunset at one of the places, and I just liked the way that was highlighted. Another one of a pelican in flight. And then being in Florida, we also have lots of formal gardens. And so these were some flowers at a formal garden down in Sarasota. And that one also. And then Lakeland is where we live is the home of the Sun and Fun. They just had that about 2 weeks ago. It's sort of EAA Air Adventure South. And so this was an Air Force F-22 and an old P-51 flying together. And they had a little demonstration of the two of them. And then of course the Blue Angels were there. And so I managed to get a shot of them. So that sort of gives you an idea of my evolution from Wisconsin to Florida. I've had to basically change the way I do my photography.
Well, it looks like you're doing an excellent job, and it seems to me Florida has a lot of subjects that you're going to enjoy photographing.
Yeah, I think so.
Mark,
Yes.
pelicans are one of my favorite birds to photograph.
I keep looking for some with their mouth open, and I just haven't hit the right timing on those yet.
Yeah, so very good photos, Mark.
All right, stop share. Okay.
Well, thank you. Thank you both, Pat, and thank you, Mark. Nice photos tonight. I enjoyed seeing them. Brian, you're up next to tell us about Shady Lane field trip and the zoo field trip. Give us the scoop.
Okay, well, here's the scoop. You know, we haven't done this for what? We didn't do anything last year, did we? But with vaccination rates up and COVID cases down, we thought that we would do something this year. Let's see, I got to do two things here. Let's see. Where did, oh, here we go. Okay. Okay, everybody can see that?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'm going to talk about two outings. So first of all, the flower shoot, and then our zoo trip. So our we're going to do flowers. That's going to be this coming Saturday, May 8th. So we're going to do this again at Shady Lane Greenhouse, where we've been doing this for a number of years. So this is out on Shady Lane in the falls. I stopped by a few weeks ago, talked with Heidi. So Carl was out, but anyway, they're inviting us back again, once again. So there's no admission for this, though certainly we encourage you to use them for your spring flower purchases. And then, so we're going to start, their hours are 9 o'clock. So we're going to start at 9 o'clock, gather. And we ask that so that you free up parking for the paying customers, that you park out on the east side of the building. Those of you who have done this with us in the past, and you go out to the east side of the building and then come in the back of the building. So just, we ask you do that, just again, to make room for the paying customers. So let's meet about 9 o'clock. That's when they open. The last I checked. So again, this is going to be this coming Saturday, 9 o'clock out at Shady Lane. So when I was out there a few weeks ago, I did not see that any of the personnel working for Shady Lane were using masks. You know, it's you've got large spaces there and they've got fans moving. So I think it ought to be relatively safe, but again, you know, CDC still rates Waukesha County as a high risk area for COVID. So then let's talk about the zoo visit. So we're gonna do this on June 5th. We're talking about this now just because it's runs up close to our June meeting. Actually, it's after our June meeting. So just want to get a little overview of what the zoo is. And then I'm going to talk about photography there. If you haven't been there, well, anyway, let's meet. So this is the main entrance. People will be parking out in the lots here. So suggest you come in and to meet it just to so we can meet outside where it's a little bit safer. Let's meet out in this area just a little bit west of the main entering building. So let's, if we could do that. And then just to give you a little overview of some of the things that are newer, if you haven't been to the zoo in a few years, when you walk down this path, you know, you're going to come down to Big Cat Country. And the one thing that's new around Big Cat Country is the Hippo Exhibit. And this just opened up last year. And if you haven't seen this, this is a lot of fun. Go in and you can get up real close to the hippos. They've done just a beautiful job of this exhibit. Being there on a Saturday, there's gonna be a lot of people there. So it may be tough to get some shots, but you know, that's something worth checking out. And then going a little further down, you've got Adventure Africa. This opened up several years ago. This was the first element of their big capital expansion program. So you've got three areas. You've got the elephant yard, the elephant barn, and so now we've got 3 female elephants. And then there's Impala Plains, which is here, together with the African forest. So do go down, check out the elephants. So this is kind of a artist view. One thing is, you know, the elephants may be further away. It's gonna be a little bit harder to get some shots, but you know, you want to go for good backgrounds, and that's gonna be a little bit challenging. But then the other 2 areas, which I actually find I photograph more, is the Impala Plains. This is again right next door to the elephant exhibit. And there we've got the zebras, the African crowned cranes, which this is one of, an ostrich and impala. They're on that same yard. A little bit challenging because you've got the fence, but you can, with a low enough f-stop, you know, and with the subject further away from the
I lost the sound.
He's froze.
Ah,
Uh-oh.
We seem to be having internet problems tonight.
But at least one thing, it makes it interesting and not a boring, you know, meeting.
And I don't think it's me, so. Must be Menomonee Falls. Must have got clobbered good last night with the storm. So,
so I think the date on the zoo was that the 5th?
yeah, June 5th. I was going to ask him what time. I think they open at 10, if I remember right.
The article in the newsletter says 10 o'clock.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, we lost you.
people are planning on going to Shady Lane this Saturday? Can you? Okay, we got people coming. Good.
By the way,
For me, it
Hey.
all depends on if I'm going to be down there or not.
Okay.
tripods allowed at Shady Lane?
Yeah, usually they are.
Okay.
In prior years, they were.
Yeah, I've never been there, so I wonder.
Jane, I was just gonna share real quick. For those who aren't aware that it's going on, and Patty knows this, there's a Lightroom virtual summit going on this week with a whole bunch of free education courses. They're doing like, I don't know, 7-8 sessions a day. And you can watch the videos for free up to, I think it's 48 hours after they air. I was just going to drop the link in the chat for anybody who's interested. There's some pretty good Lightroom stuff. It's all Lightroom based stuff.
I watched both days so far, and it's really interesting. They go through photos and explain exactly what they're doing, what to look for. And then the other thing, the last one today was how to get the best looking prints out of your printer by calibrating your monitor, getting calibration for the paper you use and printer and all that. Things that I never even heard of, which doesn't mean much, but they're really good, interesting courses.
You can always click on the link in the newsletter too, that will take you to that Lightroom Virtual Summit. I think that was Kloskowski, and he's with some others that are doing that too. So you should be able to, if Ian, you're going to put the link in the.
Yeah, I swear I read the newsletter and I missed that it was in there.
I have a stupid question here. So you put a link in the chat box, but what do I do with that link when this, I mean, how do I get that link? How do I save that link?
Just click it so it opens up the page, and then you should have it in like your web browser, and then save it wherever you want.
Okay.
Or apparently it's in the newsletter. I'm still looking in the newsletter.
It's in the newsletter, and if you click on it
in the newsletter.
Where is it?
Yeah, there it is. I found it. Page 3.
Page 3 at the top, May 3 to 7, of photographic interest. So,
as Ian said,
right
there's
above
only-
the field trips from
And
Brian.
which I was just reading. Go figure. And I, tunnel vision over here. So yes, it's in the newsletter in page 3, and the link works there. So
okay.
But Mondays, there's only 48 hours that you can watch them for free. Otherwise, they're gone. So if you look at the agenda and so forth, or Monday and Tuesday, if you're interested in any of those, get on them right away.
That's a good point. So the link that's in the newsletter takes you to the thing, and then I think you can register for your free ticket. If you just click the link that I gave you, that's straight to the day 2 stuff. I'm trying to see if I can find the day 1 link real quick. It's in my email. Yeah, here it is. I'll throw the day 1 link also in there. So you can just go directly to them if you want to check them out. And then if you want to see more this week, go to the link that's in the newsletter. You can register, and then what they do is they email you the link each day.
Jane, Brian's back.
Yeah,
I
Brian made
see
it
you're
back.
back.
My computer just completely shut down.
Can you try and get back to where you were? And
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was page 10.
Yeah. Okay, here we go. So we were talking about Adventure Africa. Talked briefly about Impala Plains, and then the other area is the African forest. And so this has guinea fowl, bongos. This is a bongo, and then the yellow-backed duiker. So all the animals in these areas the forest and Impala Plains are animals that have been there for a while. Most of them are anyway, and have just moved into those areas. So other area I want to talk about is, so if you go from Adventure Africa and you head a little bit west, another new area is the river otters. And this is a cool area. So we've got the river otters. Got a little video here. This isn't showing too well, but well, anyway. So it's got 3 viewing areas, and if you haven't seen that one, be sure to check it out. Again, there's going to be a lot of people around there. Just got to look for some opportunities to get some shots. And then up in here again, this is the primate area, and the birds. That's another area I like. I don't know if you want to go in there in the summertime, but a lot of good birds in there, and that's a great place to go in the wintertime. So just talking about photography, just some things to think about. You can use any lens, but really you want a good telephoto, 600 millimeters if you've got it, for your animals far away, or the tight, intimate shots. You can use wide angle or a medium angle for the new hippo and the river otters, some context shots. Outdoors, your light's going to be good. Though your indoor exhibits, you go in the aviary, it's going to be very, very poor. You're going to want to run, very low f-stops and very high ISO. I prefer manual. If animals moving at all, I'm using a shutter of 1/1500th or 1/2000th to freeze the motion. Lowest aperture you've got, and I'm on auto ISO. And if your animal's moving, you want to go on burst mode, high-speed capture. Just some things to think about in terms of photography. I look for animal interactions, especially younger ones. So this is a younger camel with, I think, the parent. Here you've got some primates. Not going to see this anymore. And I look for, behavior. This was a brown bear coming out of hibernation and yawning, and then you've got all these things going on with the primates. Action, you've got different opportunities, with the bear and, various aquatic animals. I try to go for humor. I mean, it's a question of, it's very subjective, but to me, this brown bear with its, was like, oh my God, what's another day at the zoo? This guy just, with eating the grass and with the mouth, just different expressions. Portraits, these are ones that a lot of people like to get. So, different possibilities. But here again, you're going to need a pretty good telephoto. And just look for those opportunities. This is what I call interspecies interactions. Here again, it's a child, with in the hippo exhibit. The one thing you've got to watch is your background, and especially, with the older sections of the zoo, you had nice natural-like backgrounds, but in the newer sections, you've got to watch. So I shot this bird at the elephant exhibit, and it was just that I was far enough away, I had low enough f-stop that I was able to blur the background. But in those newer areas, you just got to use more care, watch your backgrounds, and you may have to wait for the animal to move into a better position. So it may take a little more patience in some of the newer areas. Great for the animals, but just a little not quite as friendly for photographers. So when are we going to do this? We're going to do this on Saturday, June 3rd. So again, CDC still rates Milwaukee County high risk for COVID. And masks are required both inside and outside at the zoo. And people have been complying for the most part. So please do comply. Let's be good guests. So the costs are for adults, it's gonna be $16.75, seniors over 60, $15.75. Parking's gonna be $15. So, look for opportunities to carpool together, with people you're comfortable with, in our COVID environment. So the zoo opens about 9:30. Some of the mornings they've been backing up, you never know. It's we're doing this early enough in the season. We kind of picked this date because schools aren't out yet, and we won't be in the full vacation season, but I expect it's going to be busy. But let's try to meet as best we can around 10 a.m. again on the west side of the U.S. Bank building. Oh boy, my screen is brightening up. I don't know if I'm going to lose it again now or what's going on, but
Oh, no.
so masks are required again, as we said. This is optional. What we have done in past years is we have met for lunch out at Lake Evinrude around noon, and there will be vendors with food around that Lake Evinrude area as in past years. So or bring a bag lunch, and join us if you like. So this is quick overview, and just if anybody has any questions.
No, that's a good critique of what we can expect. What do people recommend at Shady Lane for those flowers, for lenses and equipment? Ian, what do you recommend? You've been doing a lot of flowers.
Yeah, I primarily shoot with my 90mm macro. That's like 99% of what I use. If you want a little bit wider, I have a 16 to 50mm 2.8. Again, I shoot on a crop sensor camera, so I'm dealing with a little more of a narrow field there. But those are probably the two main ones I do. The nice part of the greenhouse, for those who haven't been there, is it's not a lot of wind. If the fans are, if the fan turns on, sometimes there's a little bit of disturbance, but for the most part, the light or the flowers are pretty stable. The light's usually awesome because you're in a greenhouse and it's diffused. So one other thing I'll point out is there are a bunch of, there's the main greenhouses that everybody tends to shoot in, and they have a whole bunch kind of like behind the one that has the train. You can't miss the train. Whole bunch back behind there, and that's usually where they have like the really young plants that they're waiting to grow more. So if you're looking for maybe something that's not entirely full bloom, that stuff's back there too. I learned that 2 years ago.
Well, the perennials are outside. Remember the perennials. They may have some good shots there. And you might want to bring your own background. Sometimes people have done that. Carol has done that in the past, I remember.
Okay, well, I hope we get a nice turnout and everybody gets some good shots. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Ian. And now we've got the program, which is Ken and Jeff talking about waterfalls up north.
Yeah. Yeah, hey.
Time to wake up, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
But there are a few waterfalls, all over the state and country, so.
Yeah, I lost everything else. You're seeing my screen, I take it.
Yes.
I can't see anybody else, so I've lost all those screens. So we'll see how long I stick around. So yeah, Ken and I are going to talk about the enjoyment of waterfalls in both the UP, of Michigan and Minnesota. And I guess I'm starting off, if I can get it to work, first I got to get to that, with equipment. Some of the stuff you basically need would be a camera with an L bracket. The L bracket lets you turn the camera from horizontal to vertical pretty easily. Just about any lens you own, wide angle to telephoto, because you want the wide angle to be able to get wide shots, and then telephoto to get detail shots. A tripod to keep the camera steady, and a remote shutter release, or I use an intervalometer because I do long exposures. Polarizer filter, neutral density filters, and a lens cleaning cloth, and even some cleaner. The intervalometer for me works because I do 30 seconds to a minute exposure at times. And I'm not sure, I think you can see my cursor, but the L bracket is nice because you can flip your camera vertically real quick and not do as much recomposing. So an L bracket works real nice. And a tripod because you're generally shooting with slower shutter speeds. Now, the cleaning rig is sort of important because a lot of these waterfalls, you need to keep the lens clean from the rain and the spray. And you can sort of see them here, but if I show you, you can see all the water droplets that are on the front of the lens. This is a typical waterfall where there's a lot of spray going on and the lenses just constantly get covered. We're just going to go through basic camera settings because I could go into a whole hour and a half talk on long exposure. But you want to use a high aperture, f/16, 32. This will get you good depth of focus and longer shutter speeds. I generally use, we both generally use the lower ISOs, 100. Mine goes down as low as 64. And that will give you nice long shutter speeds. When you're shooting, you want to try different shutter speeds. Ken likes the faster ones, an eighth, a fourth, a third, a half, 1 second. I'm one that shoots into 1 second, 4 seconds, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, and 60 seconds. So we each have a little different style. But you can see here with a waterfall that with a fifth of a second, you've got a little more detail. And as you slow it down, you get a little longer detail. And for me, I start at 1 second and I go to 4 seconds and longer, depending on the type of water and how fast it's moving. I really like 10 seconds. And my favorite is 90 seconds, because then you can get the nice flowing, smooth water. You can get everything in the river here sort of flowing together. You can see the currents. Plus, if you get the clouds blowing in the right direction, you get a nice silky look of the clouds. When you're shooting, you want to try to get a lot of different types of shots. So you want to photograph the overall scene first, then shoot from different angles, and then shoot the details. So that's why you need the, the wide angle lens for the overall scene. We use zoom lenses so we can start zooming in, and then we'll go to telephoto lenses to get the detail shots. A lot of times you don't need to get the sky because it's not quite as important. Although bright sunny days do help get you a little better reflection. Bond Falls especially, I know Ken likes to shoot it when the sun is high up in the sky and you get the sun creating the nice reflections in the water of the fall colors. And then you go in for the detailed shots with a telephoto lens and you can get some really interesting effects. Plus, you shoot different angles. You've worked to get to all these waterfalls. You might as well take your time and shoot all the different angles that you can find. The best time to shoot a waterfall is early in the morning, late at night, just like any other kind of photography. I like it as well on cloudy and overcast days, just shy of raining. Rain's a little bit hard, but if you can get a nice overcast day, then you can shoot all day long. Sunny days work good for the colorful reflections. Strong light, strong blue sky light just does not work with waterfalls. You can do HDRs, but you get really harsh shadows with it. Then if we get it during those times of days, you generally try to do close-ups and, close shots with it. This is what happens when you shoot on a bright sunny day. You get the real hot spots and the dark shadow areas. And no matter what you try to do for HDR, you're still going to get a lot of bad detail out of it. So you really want a nice cloudy day, overcast day, or do it early in the morning, late at night. Springtime is the best time because it has the higher water levels. Summertime, the water levels can be low. Fall is a good time because of all the fall colored leaves. You get better looking backgrounds, nice reflections. I gotta admit, I don't do winter at all. I don't like climbing and slipping on ice. I know Ken's willing to do some of that, so I'm not. But you can see here where water levels are low, you don't get as much action going on. When the water levels are high, you get a lot smoother look, but you don't get as much rock detail. So they've got their good and bad points. Some of the spots that we shoot on the North Shore, Ken keeps telling me that spring is a great time for high flowing water, and I have yet to see that. So maybe this year we'll get luckier. Other good times is Bond Falls works good in spring. Kakabika Falls has a lot of nice trees in the background, so it works nice in fall. Tequendama Falls always has, really, I've always found that we can shoot it just about any time. There's a lot of water flowing there. And the Bond Falls winter, that's stuff that Ken shot, and you can see the interesting things, but boy, trying to climb around there, not my idea of fun. So Ken's gonna start off with where to find waterfalls in the UP, and we'll go from there.
All right, so this again is Bond Falls, which is one of my favorites. Some of the references that we use, the white book there is one I have. It's Waterfalls of Michigan. Jeff has the two book series with Waterfalls of Michigan, which is an updated version. So we normally take those with us when we go, and it gives us how to get to the waterfalls and what the hiking conditions are and so forth. Next. So we're starting from the east here, and this is Tequendama. This is the upper falls. And what Jeff really took a lot of time to give everybody the GPS coordinates and a little map of how to get there. So if you're coming from the south, the upper falls will be the first one that you come to. It's got a large parking lot. It's actually open all year long. The parking lot is open, and actually they clean the stairways going down to the falls in winter also. Next. Come on. So these are some of the different times that we've been here. There's viewpoints from the top of the hiking trail. which is a paved hiking trail. And then you can also walk down to the river and walk along the river and get some shots from lower. And the picture on the right lower one is a shot that I took one winter when I was there. Then there's also the lower falls, which can be just as good, especially good for getting nice details. So this is a little bit further down to 123. And what we're looking at is, this is the upper left corner is kind of an overview of the left side of the island. And the right bottom one is looking from one of the platforms, and both the other two falls, the one on the upper right and the lower left, were taken by renting a rowboat and rowing from where they rent it across the water to the island. And that's when you get the up close shots at what's going on with the island. So if you look at the photo on the upper left corner, that's what you see from a distance. If you get into the island, this is what it looks like when you get close to it. And the same thing for the lower left one is a photo taken from the island itself.
Ken?
Yes.
On the upper right picture, it looks like a salmon jumping.
No, there's no salmon in that picture. There's
I know, but the color and the shape.
Yeah, there is a chunk of wood up there in the middle of the photo. That's probably what you're referring to. And these Tequamatum Falls has got a lot of the tannin that it gets from the tree roots, and that's what puts the color in the waterfalls. And it's especially good at Tequamatum. All right. Now this is in the pictured rock area. This is on the road that you go to get down to Miner's Castle, which is a rock structure overlooking the Lake Superior. And this is little waterfalls is called Elliott Falls. It's kind of neat because it has a layer, like a sandstone type layer that the water goes on. So you don't need a whole lot of water for that waterfall to look nice. And then at sunset, you can get some nice colors for it. A little bit further up the same road that goes down to Miners Falls, there's actually a waterfall that's called Miner Falls. And it's a little over half a mile walk. It's you're limited. Well, I shouldn't say that, but you are kind of limited to a platform for shooting it. Some people actually climb over the platform and walk down to get down to it, but I think it's a little risky, and I'm getting too old to do that stuff. So I don't attempt that to get that kind of a shot. This is also in pictured rock. This is called Chapel Falls. It's a little farther east from the Miners Falls Road, and it's also, like Jeff's got here, it's a 2-mile one-way hike. So it is a fairly long hike, and I haven't gone there myself in several years now. And you do have that one tree that kind of cuts the waterfall in half, which is too bad, but it is a very nice waterfall. The same path takes you all the way down to Chapel Rock, which would be another couple miles. So it's a long walk to get down to Chapel Rock from the parking lot. From that same parking lot at Chapel Falls, there is a smaller falls called Mosquito Falls. I've only been there once. Again, it's a little bit longer walk again, and the only problem I have this one is you're pretty much right up to the water. There's very few angles that you can get to photograph it because the river bank itself has got a pretty high wall against it, and so you can only just back up to it to get your photos. Now we're back to the town of Munising, and right in the city is Munising Falls. Can look really nice in the fall time, and there's a little platform that's on the hiking trail level. Then there's a little platform that's raised maybe 2 flights, and one on the left side and one on the right side. The one on the right side is a little taller, and it gives you another angle to shoot that one with. Next one, Jeff.
Yep.
So here's Jeff's got one of his longer exposures there, and I really think it looks beautiful in the winter time. And it's easy to walk to it. The path is still pretty good. Algiers Falls is another waterfall that's right in Munising. It's right on 94. We usually stay at a hotel that's slightly south east of Algiers Falls, and it's on the main drag. There is a little place to parallel park your car there, and it's right, you're right next to it when you park. Wagner Falls, once you turn left on 94, right next to Algiers Falls, and that's another poplar waterfall. That's a short walk, and it can look very nice at times. So it's a very popular waterfall. In fact, one time I was there, a whole tourist bus stopped there with about 40 people. So it made it kind of interesting. There is a platform there. You can actually climb over the platform and down and safely walk underneath the platform and get right in the river to photograph from a river view. Now we're going a little bit. This one might be. This is actually closer to Bond Falls. It's called Agate Falls, and it's right on Highway 28 and 45. Bond Falls is just south of there, halfway between Highway 2 and 28. This one, you kind of walk underneath. It's got a path that goes underneath the road, and it strictly has a platform. So you're kind of limited with the trees and a platform of what you can shoot. And it's kind of a steep walk down to the river. I've never attempted to climb over the platform and walk down there. Autrain Falls is another fall that's fairly close to Munising again. When you're going to Wagner Fall, if you continue on Highway 94 for maybe about 10 miles, you'll see a road that's with a sign to how to get there. Again, it's a fairly short walk. And what really makes this, I mean, Jeff's got a really great picture here showing all the different levels of the sandstone formation there. And what's nice about this one is if you've got boots on, you can actually get in the water and walk around from one side to the other, up and down, and try different angles for photography. So it's kind of a fun one to do, and nice colors in the water and rocks. Scott Falls is west of Munising, just outside of Christmas, Michigan, and it's just a very small waterfall, and it's just right off the road on 28. There's just parking for a couple cars right there, and you can actually get right to the water and shoot it from different angles. So it's kind of a fun one to do too, especially in the fall. Now, Spray Falls is actually east of Chapel Beach. And I think there might be some viewpoints along some of the hiking trails that go along the ledge of Pictured Rock. But I like to take the Pictured Rock cruise boats for trips along Pictured Rock. And I enjoy seeing the nice colors in the rocks. And it's just fun taking that cruise. I've probably taken it eight or 9 times already. And one of the cruises does go all the way to Spray Falls, and so you can get a shot of it from the water. Laughing Whitefish Falls is it's east of Munising, and it's probably southeast of Munising. You just continue on 94, and you'd have to just kind of follow. He's got north of Sundale. That one you're better off getting. Well, you got the GPS coordinates, and that would help. You're probably just better looking that one up on the internet and getting good directions there. It's what you're seeing there in that waterfalls. I usually go there every year, and I've only seen this once in probably the 12 or more trips that I've gone there, where the water goes edge to edge. Normally, it's the water is only on the left side of the way we're viewing it. There is a platform that you have to. There's stairs that you walk down, and you can climb over them and get into the water if you want, or sometimes when the water's low, you can actually stand in a dry area down there. And the walk itself is maybe a half mile from the trail. So it's not that difficult to get to and back. It does require a Michigan state permit for that park, and also Tequamanum does also. Sabo Falls is on the east end of Pictured Rocks. It's closer to Grand Marais. It's a nice waterfall with multi-levels. When you park in the parking lot, it's not a long walk there. There are stairs involved, but it's not too many. And actually, on the way there, if you go to the left, you can go to some of the sand dunes. If you walk all the way down to the stairs, there's a path that takes you all the way to the beach if you want to see Lake Superior from that side.
Yep.
Okay, now we're really getting into the west side of Michigan. This is in the Porcupine Mountains, and this is again one of my favorite places. It's the Presque River. So if you look at a map of Porcupine State Park, you'll see that this is all the way on the west end. And this one has a suspension bridge that goes over the water. It's kind of fun to do photography because the minute that anybody steps on that bridge, it starts bouncing up and down. And it's become a fairly popular place. So last fall, it was so crowded, I even gave up trying to take a picture of it. So you see a couple of different angles now. Jeff's shot was taken from the bridge. I think I was actually in a little bit of a lower position when I took the previous shot. And then I try to catch a video on some of the waterfalls when I can also. Now the same it's less than half a mile to get to that first area there. And there are steps involved, but it's not too bad. And then there's a wood walkway that goes south of the previous shot. And there's a couple places that you can stop and photograph from for a slight water structure just before this one. And then this particular shot is a little bit further south, and then you can either walk out of the trails that way and catch a path back to the parking lot. It's a little more confusing that way, so I generally just take the boardwalk back to the Presque structure you saw previously. And then sometimes Jeff really enjoys walking on a suspension bridge and going to the other side and trying to catch some shots from that side of the river. And you do get some interesting places that you can photograph on that side of the river. This is another waterfall in the Porcupine Mountains. As you can see, it's a much smaller waterfall. There have been times where you get the sun reflecting from the leaves, and that whole area turns golden in color. It's called Overlooked Falls. A lot of people don't stop there. Now, just east of the Porcupine Mountains is the Black River National Parkway. And that's still in Michigan there. But there's a series of 3 or 4 different waterfalls. So I think as you're driving down the road that takes you to the waterfalls, and I think well, what to say there? Black River National Forest Scenic Byway. I think Great Conglomerate Falls will probably be one of the first falls that you come to. This one is not right in the immediate area of the 3 waterfalls in Black River, but it's actually before you get to it. The River Edge Photo Club came here one year to the Porcupines, and this is one of our stops there. It's a little bit tricky to photograph Gabriel Falls. There's, besides this view of looking down the river, there's one other access point to where maybe one person can shoot at a time. And so we didn't really find a really ideal place to photograph the waterfalls. And there have been better pictures that other people have taken, so there must be a way to get there. We just haven't figured it out yet. And this goes back to the 3 main ones on Black River Falls. This is Potawatomi Falls. And this one is Gorge Falls. This is a photo I took last fall, and it's the first time I went to this waterfall. It's called Superior Falls. And there's a fairly steep walk down from a hill to get here, and they do have like a kind of a rope that you can kind of hold on to. It's a little bit low, and it's kind of a gravelly walk, so I didn't have too much trouble walking down it, but I always get out of breath when I walk up hills or walk up a lot of stairs. And so I did have to stop a lot to get up that hill. And then once you get down to the bottom, you're walking on a narrow path that goes right along the edge of the river. but it's a pretty little waterfall. We talked a little bit about Bond Falls. Bond Falls, you're fairly close to Highway 2 and Highway 45. And if you go on Highway 2 west from there for about 12 to 15 miles, you run into Highway 527. You turn right when you're going west, and it'll take you to the falls. And it's more or less a series of cascades. It's a short walk out of the parking lot, and there's multiple levels to it. The other thing about this waterfall that I will mention is that it requires a heavy rainfall in order to get this much water in it. It basically gets water from an overflow of a lake. So there's times that this lake gets too high and they have to release the water, and then that just fills up the river. Back in the days when I used to do a lot of the Bob Scott waterfall tours, we would get there at sunrise, and when the sun hits the water, it just turns bright gold from the yellow leaves that are there. And then later on in the day, you can still, the other two photos were probably taking on overcast days where you didn't have the sun. It's one of my favorites. I like it. Black Slate River is up in the Kiwana, and I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but Kiwana Peninsula, and it's up.
Keweenaw.
What is it, Jeff?
Keweenaw Peninsula.
Keweenaw. Oh, I'll get there one of these days. This is a small river with cascades that's up in that area. Next. When we're in the Porcupine Mountains, a lot of time we stay at the Merrick Inn in Silver City, and Bonanza Falls is just south of there, and it's a smaller waterfall. It's a multi-level rock beds, and it's maybe a 10 to 12 foot drop from where you park. So you just have to be a little careful when you walk down that, and then you can get to it and you can just walk along the edge of the river and see some of the different levels to it. So it's kind of fairly close to us. Bond Falls, as I mentioned, is on Highway 45 between 2 and 28, and you just go right on Bond Falls Road. This is one morning when we captured it with the heavy fog mist above it. And here you can see two of my winter shots. And this is what the first shot that you saw earlier is the lower falls, which you get to directly from the parking lot. The two on the top and one on to the right are the top of the waterfalls. And you can either take the stairway up from the lower falls to get to the upper one. But in winter, what I usually do is I park right by the upper falls on Bond Falls Road and just walk in from that side. And I shoot the upper waterfalls, and then I walk back to the car, and then I drive to the parking lot, and the parking lot is closed in winter. So then it actually is a fairly long walk downhill to get to the parking lot, and then over to the lower falls. You also see this is kind of a tight shot of the fall reflections, which can be beautiful. It's kind of hard to time that though, because many times it can come earlier. Like one time I was there on September 21st and I got the colors, try to go back in the same time period and the leaves hadn't turned color yet, and try to go a little bit later and the leaves are gone and there's no color. Last year was the first time I tried doing a Milky Way from the Bond Falls, and this was taken in late September on the left side of the lower falls, and the Milky Way was there, and I was fortunate because that was a 2-minute exposure for the lower falls and probably a 20 to 30-second exposure for the stars, and then I blended them together. But shortly after I took that, the mist from the waterfalls was starting to flow into the lens, and I couldn't photograph anymore. Canyon Falls is east of Bond Falls. It's on Highway 41. Jeff, how's your French? Can you pronounce the township on that?
Nope.
Lenance? I don't know. I can't. I'm struggling with that.
It's Lon.
This one is there's a wayside right there on Highway 41. It's less than half a mile walk to this waterfalls. This waterfall, there's really no way to get a good view of it. You're shooting above it, shooting down. You can climb over a little fence, and when I was younger, I used to climb down on the rocks just to the right of the rock you see here in the lower part of the photo, and you can get a little closer to it and get a slightly better shot. And then walking back, and there's multiple levels of the river, and in fall it's just beautiful there. Okay, Keweenaw. All right. This one is right across from the bridge. You can just walk out on the bridge to take this photo. And you know, the water levels will vary, but we had fairly decent flow for the time we were there. All right, now we're going to touch on some of the Minnesota waterfalls. So go ahead to the next one. So this is kind of what you see going from Duluth all the way up to the Canadian border. And there's several waterfalls. Jeff has already marked them with numbers of the one that we commonly shoot at, and multiple state parks along there. So it's just a beautiful area to go to. I've got two references for this. One is the waterfalls of the Minnesota's North Shore. The other reference that we kind of like, and this is good for Michigan too, it's called, it's put out by Lake Superior Magazine. If you subscribe to it, like Jeff and I do, you automatically get the travel guide as one of your mailings. And but even if you don't subscribe to the magazine, you can order the travel guide from Lake Superior Magazine, and it covers from Sault Ste. Marie all the way up to Thunder Bay, Canada. And it's got a lot of information on what their customers rate all the different areas along the lake. You know, what's the most scenic, what's the best restaurant, what's the best lodging, and all those kinds of things. So, and it's a good magazine. It comes every 2 months. You get that. And then also the North Shore puts out a visitor's guide, and that was also on that page. So here we are in Duluth. This is a little river called Amity Creek. And what I've done is Highway 61 is what takes you from Duluth to Canada, and mile marker number 5 is right about where Amity Creek comes in, and on the right, Lester Park. So you can take that road for Amity Creek all the way up to the top. There's several bridges there. And this was one of the waterfalls we took, or cascades, from one of the bridges that's up a little higher. This is the Lester River, and it's another one with multiple cascades to it. Gooseberry Falls is one of my favorite locations on the North Shore. It's at mile marker number 39. It's a state park, and it has several waterfalls. So the one you're seeing here in black and white is nice. It's got these trees with the roots that go there. You can basically walk right up to the waterfall. When the water levels really get low, you can walk throughout the entire complex. And if you go there during the summertime, families and kids are climbing all over the rocks everywhere. Next one, Jeff. So this is looking at the same waterfall on the top, on the left-hand upper one, but also you notice if you're down a little bit further down the river, you get to see another waterfall. So what we normally do on the left-hand side of this upper pit photo here, there's a path that goes down the river. And if you continue on it, I believe you'll see the waterfall below that one. There's a bridge that crosses the river down below, and then there's a wood stairs that goes up on the path on the opposite side of the river, and you'll see the waterfall on the upper right here. And then that same path takes you underneath a bridge under Highway 61. And there's another waterfall on the other side of the bridge. So it's a fun place to go to when the water's flowing well, and a lot of things to see. As we're going north here, this is mile marker 51. This is in Beaver Creek. It's a little Beaver Bay. It's a little city just north of Split Rock. And there's a wayside right here, and there's a bridge going over the river. There's room for a sidewalk that you can photograph right from the bridge. There is a path that goes down to the bottom, and then you kind of have to climb over some of these rocks to get different views, and I don't do that all that often. Now we're at Tachiguchi Park. I don't know if I'm saying that, Gucci. Mile marker 58. It's a big park. It's got a beautiful visitor center. This photo that you see on the left was called Cascades. It's on the Baptism River. I have only been there once. After my first trip there, they had such heavy rain and so forth that it completely washed out the trail going there, and I've never followed back up to try to make it back up there. There's another waterfall. I'm just going to show you the directions here. It's called High Falls. What I usually do is park in the river, the campground, and walk uphill to it. There's a bridge that takes you over the river, and then you walk down a lot of stairs. It's a fairly strenuous walk because on the way back, you got to walk up all the stairs and then walk back to the parking lot. So it's not that easy. I've been here maybe 3 or 4 times. If you're in good physical shape, I would recommend that you do it. Caribou Falls, mile marker 70, and it's what you park on the wayside. Most of the time when you park at a wayside, you don't have to register, have a state parking permit, but like the previous one for the high falls, you do need a parking permit from the state park permit. Caribou is a little over a mile, I think, to get there. There are some stairs involved. It's kind of a nice one. We always have had lower water there. And so during one of the trips there, I actually took my socks and shoes off and walked over and got that different angle of the waterfall. I would recommend, if you do that, to wear sandals next time. Yeah, so this is the angle I got from being in the water. Cross River, we're up to mile marker 79. This is another one. Just before the river, there's a wayside that you can park at. Again, there's a bridge with a sidewalk on it that you can walk and shoot down at. So this one, during heavy rain, will cover from left to right on the entire rock area there. It's kind of a neat one to do. Temperance River is mile marker 80. What it's known for is how the water carved through all the different rock structures. Now the picture on the right is looking down at Lake Superior. The picture on the left is slightly before you get to that viewpoint, or maybe it's below that viewpoint, looking as the river is coming out of it. Next slide, Jeff. These were taken by actually walking up into this park. And the picture on the right shows you how the little waterfall, but the water through there, carved through the rocks. The one on the left is just kind of with the fall colors. The water looks pretty nice. Here's another one of my favorite waterfalls, mile marker 99.8, Cascade River Falls. This one I like because of the number of tiers. You get 3 waterfalls in one shot, and it's getting a little bit harder to shoot nowadays. There's a little more growth that's kind of blocking some of your view, but there's several viewpoints going up the river. So now, if you look at the one in the upper left, this was when Brian and I were up at the North Shore without Jeff, so he never saw how much water was coming through the rivers. In this photo, you can see how much water we had, and all the rivers were just roaring. Jeff probably thinks I photoshopped all that water in there because he's never seen that much, but we did have good water during that trip. The 2 photos on the right are about midway between where you come in and where you get up to the upper waterfall here. And the photo on the left is one of the first waterfalls you see when you start walking up the stairs. Devil's Kettle, this is the one picture I've have of it. I've only been there one time. It was kind of a strenuous walk and a lot of stairs involved. And this is the one that Brian Hansel had that picture looking up at all the stairs that he had to climb to get down to it. And again, it's at first you got to walk up the river to get to the stairs, which was a fair amount of hiking. Next. Okay, now we're at the top of Minnesota. This river here, which is the Pigeon River, is a river that divides Canada and Minnesota, and it's a nice visitor center there. It's actually a wheelchair accessible waterfall. I mean, it is a half a mile walk on a paved walk, and then it takes you to 2 different platforms that you can view the falls at. And when Brian and I were there in April 15th area, there was a mist coming from the waterfall, and it froze on the walkway and on the platform that we had to stand on to shoot. So we were hugging the railing the whole way there. So another two views of the same waterfall, one with the rainbow in it. So that's another fun one to go to without the ice. Here's a couple areas right around Duluth. There's Jay Cook Park, which is southwest of Duluth, and it's a river with some interesting rock formations. It has a bridge that you walk over from the visitor center to the other side. You can, once you're on the other side, you can get on some very large boulders and take some photos upstream. I believe this photo was probably taken from the bridge. And photo on the left was also on the bridge. This bridge is the third bridge that has been built there. Two of them have washed out. About 5 years ago, they had very heavy rains, and this is the St. Louis River, and it actually washed out the bridge and washed out the zoo in Duluth, and it washed out part of the road. So the photo on the right was from a vantage point that was further down the road. We had to walk down a fairly big hill to get down to the bottom to photograph from river view type of shot. And even though we had this talk on Waterfall, we wanted to show some of the other sites like Split Rock, Amnacan Falls in Wisconsin, Duluth Canal, and two harbors with the boat there. So sometimes on the way up to Duluth, we'll stop at Del Smith in Augusta, Wisconsin, which is outside of Eau Claire. A lot of times it's in the middle of the day when we get there, so the sun conditions may not be the best, but it's worth a stop. And the mill does operate as far as the wheel turning. Amnacan is again another great waterfall. You can shoot, there's a path that goes from the covered bridge down the left side that takes you to a vantage point that you can shoot back and get the waterfall and the bridge. If you walk over and this is right by Highway 2, just slightly east of Superior. So it's very close, very easy walking conditions. Once you walk across the covered bridge going from left to right, you're kind of on an island where you can get vantage to look at some different water structures. So this is the one on the left is looking upstream from being in the covered bridge, and then the one on the right is taken from walking around that island area between the rivers. Wisconsin has another one that's kind of on the way to Duluth. It's in Pattison Park. It's called Big Manitou Falls. There's two waterfalls there, big and little. What you're seeing on the left-hand side was from when Brian and I were there, and there were heavy rainfalls and good water in it. Little Manitou is, again, that was taken when Brian and I were there. Duluth Aerial Lift Bridge is a great place for photography again, and normally when we go to the North Shore, it's 400 miles from Milwaukee to Duluth, so we usually stop overnight in Duluth. We normally try to shoot a sunset at the Duluth Canal, and there are big freighters that go through that. You can get a app on your phone to find out what the schedule is, so you can see the freighter that we had. I think Jeff and I, that one might have been the sunrise one we tried to do.
Yeah, I think so.
And so in upper right, you can see one coming through the canal, and in the lower one, you see the Coast Guard coming through. It gets very windy and cold if the winds are strong. There's a road that goes around Duluth called the Skyline Road. And one of the parks, Enger Park, has a very nice view of the whole port there. And when you go into the Enger Park parking lot, to the right, there's a path up to the top where there's a platform, and there's actually rocks that you can stand on and move around quite a bit to get a nice view of the city. Right near the parking lot is kind of botanical gardens area, and then to the left is the Enger Tower. So you can see these are all photos that Jeff took with his what was that, 8 to 15, Jeff?
Yeah,
Or,
8 to 15 ultra wide.
yeah, so it's an ultra wide camera. And you can climb in the tower too. On the way, the first little town that you come to on the way to Gooseberry on the north shore is Two Harbors. And there is a lighthouse here. They do charge a fee for touring it. If you look at the map there, you can see where it is on the map. There's a walkway that's not shown there, that a pier that goes into the water that has a small light structure at the end of it. The three piers you see coming out on the left side of the bay are used for loading iron ore in freighters. And so you can photograph that from same areas. There's a parking lot right near the lighthouse there. And you can also get nice shots from the pier that goes out from the lighthouse area. On the way up to Split Rock Lighthouse, we cross the Split Rock River. There's some pilings there, and so we stopped there one evening to take pictures of the pilings with the sunset. And one of the nights we were able to get a nice pink color. And you can see this is one of Jeff's longer exposures where he's got the nice pink in the smooth water and the pink in the clouds. Split Rock is a great place. It's a beautiful lighthouse, mile marker 46. As you follow the white road there, the yellow road is Highway 61. If you come and go to the left, you're going to go through the road that takes you directly to the lighthouse. They do offer tours of the lighthouse. If you take the other road back south, it takes you to 3 different parking lots. And you can kind of see that the white island that's labeled under Little Two Harbors. There's a parking lot that's fairly close to that. So we usually end up starting by going into I think it's a second parking lot. I think the third one is for campers. But we usually take that, and there's a trail that takes us to the water and to a path that makes a circle towards the island. And you can see the island up there. You can see on the left side, you can see, because it's a wide angle, the lighthouse is kind of small. We were there on kind of a stormy day, and we had good winds. So the one below that is with the water hitting the rocks and the lighthouse and the sunbeams coming out of the darker clouds. We also do one of our Milky Way shoots there. And this is a photo that Jeff took that we're looking at the island. The Milky Way was going above the island, and it's got some nice trees framing the island and the Milky Way. Tachiguchi State Park, again, it's the same park that had the High Falls and the Cascades. It's also well known for Shovel Point. And these are pictures from Jeff, from Brian and our trip there. And there's a path that goes up to Shovel Point, and we took the trail all the way up to get on top of it. You can see from the view from the top, you can look south where that tower is I believe it's Palisades Head type I think that might be the name, not sure, but there's a road that goes up to the top of that too, that you can also get a nice view of the Lake Superior from. Further up the road at mile 90 during fall, you can take there's ski mountains there. You can take a gondola ride up to the top of the mountain, and there's a platform that you can shoot the fall colors. A lot of maple trees there, beautiful colors. And it happens a little bit earlier. It's in maybe mid to 2/3 of the way into September. This is out of Grand Marais. This is where Brian Hansel lives, and it's called Artist Point. It's right next to the Coast Guard station. At this photo here, I was looking in this direction of the rainbow. Jeff was taking a picture of the lighthouse, shooting in the opposite direction. I mentioned to Jeff, turn around and look and saw the rainbow, and Jeff got the better shot out of the two of us on the rainbow. So, but we were fortunate to get that. And this is where we're going next Monday. This is Hollow Rock. This is all the way up towards the Canadian border, maybe 5 or 6 miles from the Canadian border. A lot of people like to photograph this rock in winter with the snow in the opening. You see the lower photo, you see the picnic table. This is property owned by the casino in Grand Portage, and they actually have about 7 or 8 different cottages there. And so Jeff and I are staying in a cottage, and it's no Wi-Fi, no TV service, and no phone service. So it'll be a 2-nighter for us, but it's a great place to do Milky Way shooting. So that concludes. I think we covered it in pretty good time.
Yeah, a tad over an hour.
And then Jeff, you have a PDF of this?
Yeah, I got a PDF of the show with that information on it, and also a PDF of the Minnesota maps. I'm gonna drop my Dropbox link into the chat.
So we just gave you a lot of information on some of our favorite waterfalls and how to get to them. So hopefully that'll be helpful to everyone in the future, if you haven't been to any of these places before.
Well, it was very good. I think we all want to see some waterfalls.
Ken and Jeff.
Yes, thank you, Ken. Thank you, Jeff.
There's Ken and Jeff, are you aware of a book by David Hedquist, The Waterfalls of Wisconsin?
Yeah, I think I've got that one sitting somewhere.
Okay.
I got a lot of waterfall books for a lot of different spots. So.
Well, it was a good night. We saw lots of wonderful photos, lots of different subjects, lots of different places. So I
hopefully
think
this year you'll be able to get out to some of them.
Yes, let's hope.
Do you guys have a list of like suggested hotels and maybe itinerary type things for some of these trips that you've taken?
Who was saying that one?
This is Chris Beloin.
Okay. I guess we could come up with some recommendations, Chris. Why don't you send Jeff and I an email, and maybe we're kind of pressured for time right now because we're trying to get ready for the trip we're going on next week. But we can get to it and make some recommendations for you. And I guess we can just share it with the whole group as to some of the places that we stay at.
Wonderful. Yeah, I'll maybe circle back around maybe when you get back from your trip, so you don't feel pressured to throw something together. That way you have time to think about it.
Yeah, we should be. We'll have a list of hotels after this trip.
There you go. I see a book in the making here.
Yeah, I got a few books for different waterfalls. Yeah, I like waterfalls. They're fun.
Okay, well, thank you, everyone. And next meeting is June. Shady Lane, Saturday.
All right.
Don't forget, we're looking for volunteers for vice president.
Yes.
Don't all volunteer at once. Boy, look at the people disappear from the Zoom meeting.
They're dropping like flies.
Yep.
Quick, get their name. We'll call them first.
Yeah.
It's 9 o'clock.
Make it 8:30.
Thank you.
surprise 'em.
Another great meeting. Thank you.
Bye, guys.
See you next month.